1993, production reached 2 million barrels per day. 1995, first strategy launched. 2003, 2020 strategy was launched. 2006, discovery of non-associated gas. 2010, reached oil production capacity of 3 million barrels per day. In 2020, our strategic goal is to increase oil production capacity to 4 million barrels per day and maintain that level through to 2030, as indicated by our chairman. We have a story of success in the implementation of our strategy. We have added 623,000 barrels per day of oil production capacity in the last 3 years. This additional production capacity has allowed Kuwait Petroleum Corporation to supply crude volumes needed by international markets, helping to provide stability to those markets. We will continue growing our oil and gas production capacity in order to guarantee that we reach the objective set in our 2030 strategy. The continuous growth in our oil and gas production capacity has been possible through implementation and completion of several critical projects, including the modernization of several facilities, the construction of new gathering centers and pipelines, as well as new facilities for early production and crude exports. Total capital expenditure in the fiscal year 2010-2011 was in the order of 800 million Kuwaiti dinars. There are also several projects under execution which are setting the stage for growth that will allow KOC to reach its oil and gas production targets by 2020. Those projects include 3 new gathering centers, 3 new booster stations, and the development of facilities for the development of heavy oil and Jurassic light oil production. Now, let us go into more details on the way forward. Our 2030 strategy set the following objectives. 1, maximizing the strategic value from oil. 2, realizing the potential of gas. 3, growing reserves for sustainable future. 4, being an employer of choice. 5, realizing value from technology. 6, strengthening our commitment to HSSE. 7, striving for excellence in performance. 8, contributing to the enterprise and state. We are going to explain into more details each one of them. Our first strategic objective, maximize the strategic value from oil. Set the target to increase our production capacity to 3.65 million barrels per day by 2020 and to maintain through 2030. This will be part of the total this will be part of a total Kuwait production capacity of 4 million. The remaining will come from the neutral zone, which is about 350,000 barrels. To achieve this target, we will need to implement several production optimization technologies, which include primary and secondary recovery methods, as well as enhanced oil recovery technologies. New drilling technologies like horizontal and multilateral wells are also underway to increase recovery from existing and new reservoirs. We will develop heavy oil production capacity in North Kuwait and we expect to incorporate around 750,000 barrels per day of oil coming from exploration. The use of gas, associated and non-associated, is becoming increasingly important to satisfy primary energy needs around the world, as indicated by Mr. Farouk Zanki this morning. That is the case of Kuwait too, particularly due to increasing energy demand from a growing population in the country. The discovery of nearly 35 trillion standard cubic feet of free gas in the Jurassic northern Kuwait has triggered ambitious targets for its development, and we already started working on it. KOC is set to produce 2.5 billion standard cubic feet of non-associated gas by 2030, as part of the total production set for Kuwait of 3 billion standard cubic feet per day. Kuwait Oil Strategy aims to explore new hydrocarbon reserves to add production capacity equivalent to 750,000 barrels per day of oil and 1.5 billion of free gas per day in 2030. The company aims to maintain the production levels of compensation at an average 3 years, equivalent to 100%. That is the reserve replacement ratio. 2- and 3-dimensional systems have improved exploration to production cycle, helping to accelerate the development of discovered reserves. As our 2030 strategy is targeting an oil production capacity of 3.65 million barrels per day by 2020 from our current 3 million barrels per day capacity, we realize that this target is full of challenges, as we illustrate in this graph. At least 32% of our production will come from the applications of different enhanced recovery technologies. 20% of KOC oil production will come from reserve still to be discovered and or developed. Another 8% will come from the heavy oil reservoirs located in North Kuwait. All of this means that 2030, around 60% of the total KOC oil production will come from sources different than the conventional ones that we have now. As they say, the easy oil will slowly diminish. That will require applications of successfully proven technologies, as we are going to explain in the following slides. Technology applications will be critical to increase recovery and extract more barrels from our already mature fields. Some examples of the technologies that will be applied to our producing fields to enhance the recovery factor. New technologies in geological and reservoir simulation capability to enhance the definition of the reservoirs and to enable optimal development. Implementation of integrated digital fields, initially through pilots and afterwards at full scale in our different producing assets.